Okay, here's a continuation of today's project. I still need to go around. I went and got some zip ties from Harbor Freight since they're nice and cheap there. I'm going to go around and add more zip ties to the fence just to hold it to the stakes a little better. It's still not going to be straight as chicken wire unless you've got it pulled taut on a frame. It's not going to be straight. If you're using a fence like this, you can get it a little straight, but it's not going to be perfect no matter what you do. So I'm not worried about it. Right now I'm trying to row this garden out. I'm smoothing this area out because it was left really rough from the tiller with hills and valleys and deep footprints and everything else in it. So before I dig row or rake it into rows, I smooth it out. Now I'm leaving this little strip here between the edge of where the greenhouse was and the rows begin to give me another walking area. I didn't till this area back here up. I've got some trees trying to root back here and some vines and stuff I'm going to pull up. This little row I just raked is kind of half of a row. I was going to plant the watermelons and cantaloupes here and just kind of train the vines back into this empty area. But I think now what I'm going to do is, because I only need about 3 watermelon vines and they will overtake this area, I might only plant 2, is just going ahead and digging up a good size area, turning it over by hand, planting a watermelon vine, going over here, digging up a good size area right here, turning it over by hand after I get everything pulled up, of course, the stickers and the other vines and the trees, planting another watermelon here, and then using this little half row, half of it for cantaloupe, half of it for honeydew. Now cantaloupe will actually climb. I'm not sure about honeydew, but so what I might do is plant the cantaloupe on this end and train them up the chicken wire, and make slings out of pantyhose to hold any cantaloupe that develop, and then just letting the honeydew kind of fill in between the row here and maybe a little bit on the back side, train the watermelon further back and the honeydew right up in this area right here. So half of it for cantaloupe, half of it for honeydew. Not sure how it's going to work. I don't know a whole lot about traditional gardening. I learned a great deal about the aquaponics when I was doing the aquaponics, which I'm still doing. I really like it. I like playing with it. I like experimenting with it. I like the way things develop doing aquaponics, and I really like fish, so I'm going to be happy when the tilapia get up to a size that I can harvest them and get going with that. But I've got to do a little bit of work on the rows in there, but not much, mainly just weeding and continuing to water. Right now the mister system that was in the greenhouse is still hooked up. It was hooked up on the other side of that little wooden rail running along there. So it's still there, so it's still watering those rows. I put an automatic timer in because I'm bad about forgetting to water, sometimes for days. And that when my back flares up and I wind up spending several days in bed, it doesn't get watered, even if I remember. So with the timer, it's just one of those little timers. You put 2 AA batteries in, put it in line of the hose and set it, and it comes on and shuts off, comes on and shuts off on its own. So I've got it programmed right now to come on at 7 in the morning, run for 10 minutes, 7 at night, run for 10 minutes. When I do rows, I read the packets. If it says, rows 2 to 3 foot apart, to me that's from the peak of the row, not the base of the row. So I don't have 2 foot wide walking room or 3 foot wide walking room between rows. I've got about 18 inches walking room and then about 3 foot from center of the peak to center of the peak. So I don't know if that's right or not. It's the way I do it. Like I said, I haven't done very many traditional gardens other than the stuff I planted in here, which didn't really do well. I think it was because the soil needed more amendments over the winter. Of course, that one kale's doing really good, and those blackberries are doing nicely for me down there right now, and the carrots are doing great. Of course, I started fertilizing with the fish effluent, which basically fish crap, and things started picking up a lot. So the onions are doing much better now. Of course, part of that's I got better about watering too. I started watering on a more regular basis. So we'll see. Now this soil out here had several bags of manure tilled into it. It had some wood chips, some sand tilled into it, and then I covered it up with about a 3 to 4 inch layer of wood chips and left it sitting fallow. I did that because I decided to go aquaponics, and I was going to make this entire area, as you can see the wood chips over there underneath the aquaponics and in the center walkway. The entire area was going to be aquaponics at one time. I was going to have more grow beds. I was going to have 5 fish tanks, or 5 IBC totes across the back as fish tanks. But since the wife started her crap about divorce and everything else, I just left this sideline, played around with what I had. I thought about making this other side IBC tote grow beds as well, but I was out of totes. I didn't even want to ask for any more for a system that was just going to be up for another 6 to 8 months anyway. So I just said, never mind. I tilled that up, planted those in-ground rows, and now I'm going to plant out here just because I found I really enjoy the gardening and stuff. And like, it's learning for me. It's all an experiment. It's all learning, so it keeps my mind active even when my body can't be because of my disability.